Hi guys, so today I will be doing a tutorial on the Rainbow Loom and I'm super excited to do this. And it's actually, today I will be doing Stampy Cat, and I did a collection video the other day and everyone was requesting to do tutorials, so I decided to do a tutorial on Stampy Cat. And Stampy Cat is so easy to create. It's crazy how easy it is to make him, and it's my own design because I was just copying off photos. So what you will need to create this Stampy Cat, you will need a loom, a hook. I know he has green eyes, but I prefer to use black eyes and everything because it stands out more and it's a lot easier to see the eyes. So if you want to use green eyes to make it more realistic, go ahead and use green bands, but today I'll be using 2 black bands for his eyes. White bands, and just yellow bands. And it honestly doesn't matter if it's jelly or normal, you just need mainly the yellow color and the white color. So let's get started. So instead of having your loom in this position, what you're going to do is you're going to take the middle row and push it up off of the loom, and you're going to move it so it's all in the same line. So you want to have these in the same line and these in the same line. Then you want to push this down. Because Minecraft characters are square, so you want to try and make it as square as possible rather than making it round. And I think it's just a lot easier to do it like this. So I'll be double banding unless if I tell you otherwise. Most of the time I'll be using double bands. So first off, I'm going to place these 2 yellow bands here. And then I'll place 2 yellow bands on either side. Then I'll be creating the face by going down 2 with 2 yellow bands. And I'll be doing the other side as well. And then I'll do the middle, and that will be 2 white bands. And then we will need to close up the face, and we'll be using yellow bands for those. So now we'll need to make his neck. So we'll grab 2 white bands. And now we are up to his body. So for his shoulders, we'll grab 2 yellow bands and do that either side. And we will be going 4 sets of 2 bands down using yellow bands. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll do the other side. One, 2, 3, and 4. And then since he has a bit of white here, what we're going to be doing is we'll do 4 white bands down in the middle as well. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we'll need to close up his body. Using yellow bands. And we finished the main structure of his body, but before we continue, just grab a single yellow band and wrap it around this peg 3 times for the capping band, because you don't want the bands sliding out everywhere. So now we will be creating the legs. So I'll be using my hook to create Stampy's extra parts like the arms, the legs, and his ears. So I'm going to start off with his legs. So first I'll be grabbing a white band and I'll be wrapping around the hook 4 times. So it should have 5 loops around the hook. And then I'll be grabbing 2 white bands and I'll be grabbing this and pulling it over the top. Sometimes it gets caught, which gets extremely frustrating like this. What you need to do is you need to just grab it and loop it. And then you'll need to grab 2 yellow bands and bring those over the top. And you will do the yellow 2 more times. So that's 1 and 2. So you should have this, this band that's wrapped around 5 times on the bottom here that's white. Then you should have this, this as white as well, and then you should have 3 more yellow sets of 2 bands, and these are all double banded except for that one. So that's your leg, and I've already pre-made the second one, so if you want to see how to make the second leg, you can just replay the video. So what you will do is you will pull this and hook it over the top, and you can pause the video here to create the second leg. So after you've created the second leg, you'll do the exact same thing and just put it onto the loom. So now I'll be creating the arms. It's pretty much exactly the same as the legs, except it's 1 extra yellow band, 1 extra set. So instead of 3 sections of yellow, there's 4. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So we're going to wrap this around 4 times. And we'll grab 2 white bands. Bring it over the top. Then we'll grab 2 yellow bands. Two more. So that's how we created the leg, but instead of just leaving it like that, we will be grabbing 1 more set of 2 yellow bands and we'll just loop it. So it's exactly the same as the leg, except you just have 1 extra set of double bands. So now we will be attaching this to the loom. So we are just going to attach it to the top peg here. So it's the top peg of the body. You can pause the video here to create the second arm. Okay, so once you created your second arm, what you're going to do is you're going to do the exact same thing except on the other side, and you're going to attach it onto the loom. So now we will be doing the eyes. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab a black band or a green band depending on what color eye you want to do for Stampy, and you are going to wrap this around 4 times, so it should have 5 loops. And you're going to grab a second band of the exact same color and you're going to do it again and wrap it around 4 times, so it should have 5 loops. And just push them back. And then you're going to grab a yellow band or white band depending, but I think yellow will blend in more than white because you have more yellow on the head than white, if that makes any sense what I just said. But what you're going to do is you're going to pull this band here and you're going to pull the eyes onto the band. And then you're going to pull a second set. like so. So now you attach this to Stampy's face. So now what you're going to do is you're going to grab this side and put it over here. If it stays on, push this down and then attach it on this side. But it looks like a giant mess, so what you're going to do is you're going to separate the two different bands. So he has two eyes rather than one really large one. But then to make sure it separates, what we're going to do is we're going to split the two bands and put it over the middle band. So now you can see he has two separate eyes. And just make sure that one goes over so it doesn't mix in. Otherwise, if you don't, it might just push back together. So make sure you do that. So now we're going to add bands so it doesn't fall apart when we take it off of the loom. So now what we're going to do is we are going to just move the bands. Normally we do a triangle figure when we go like that, except the loom is in a straight line, so we're just going to do one straight across. So this way they all stay together, otherwise the pieces will just like separate and it won't actually be like a character. So we'll just do this and this. And we don't need to do one up here because the eyes are technically like that. It's just got two black bands on it. So now we will be creating the ears. So this is definitely the easiest part of Stampy Cat, doing the ears. What you're going to do is you're going to grab a yellow band and you're going to wrap it around 4 times, which should create 5 loops. Then you're going to grab 2 yellow bands. You're going to bring these over. And that's technically it. So now all we need to do is attach these here because that's where Stampy's ears are going to go. So pause the video while you create that one and then I'll show you what to do for the next one. So once you finish doing that ear, you're just going to attach the other ear to the opposite side, so the side that you have not added an ear yet. And you are done with Stampy Cat. And now all you need to do is do the looming part, but just to make sure that you have everything, here you should have 2 ears, then you should have the eyes attached on a single yellow band. You could do 3 bands here if you wanted to be safe, because that one tends to break because it has a lot of pressure, like holding onto the body, but I did 2 bands. Then you should have 2 arms. Then you should have all of these bands along here so it stays in place. Then you should have the 2 legs. Then you should have this capping band so it all stays in place. Now we are going to start with the hooking process. So what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath the cap band and grab the first 2 bands, which are the bands that are going to my right, depending on how you placed it. You're going to place that over the top of the leg. Then you're going to grab the next 2 bands, which are 2 yellow bands, and you're just going to place them on that hook. You're just going to place them on that peg. And then the last 2 bands should be the white bands going straight up. So now I'm going to do this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go underneath all of these bands, underneath these 2 bands here and the leg, so it should have 2 bands on the bottom, and you need to pull them up and bring them over the top. So it should be these 2 bands hooked over, and sometimes you might accidentally pull these bands, so make sure you pull the right 2 bands, otherwise it's going to fall apart. Then you want to go underneath this band here, grab these 2 bands, pull up and hook over, grab these 2 bands, under that single one and hook over, underneath this single one and hook over. So now we're going to go this side and we're going to go underneath. I'm going to grab the bottom 2 bands, and I think that one's the most tricky one, these 2, to grab the 2 bands. Then we're going to go underneath this single one and hook over the top, go underneath this single one, hook over the top, and just keep going and placing it on that peg. So now we're going to do the middle. I think this one's definitely the easiest because these bands are yellow and these ones are white, so it's going to be really easy. So just don't grab the yellow ones basically. So just grab the whites, go underneath the yellow and grab the white. And now we get up to here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go underneath these two. I'm gonna grab these two bands here. So you wanna go underneath the arm and underneath these two. You're gonna bring it over the top and hook it onto this middle peg. And you're gonna do the same on this side. Go underneath all these arm bands and grab the two bands that are on the bottom here and hook them over the top. Then you're gonna grab this band, and this part's easy, and just hook it like so. So that's why I said if you want, you can use 3 bands here, because it has to hold all of these bands. So it might snap if it has too much pressure. So it hasn't really happened to me. It's happened to me a few times, but not like majorly. So what we're gonna do is, this part's really hard as well. We're gonna go underneath all of these bands and grab the 2 bottom bands. But the good thing is the majority of the bands on the bottom are yellow, but we just wanna grab the 2 white ones, which is a bit challenging. Okay, so grab the 2 white ones, pull up and pull them over. Make sure you have all of these bands, otherwise it will fall apart and you will have to start over, or you have to do a bunch of other little tricky things like trying to hook it up and all this stuff, but you don't want to do that and it's not worth it. So now this part's really easy, and we're just going to be hooking the face. Grab the top 2 bands, and it's going this way. Grab the next 2 bands, which should be yellow as well, and then the bottom ones are the 2 whites, and it should hook straight up. Go underneath these 4 bands here and grab the bottom 2 and hook that one straight up. Whoops. So that could happen, but all we're going to do is we're just going to push it back onto the peg. Go underneath this single band and hook up. And we're going to do the same on this side, and we're going to go underneath these 4 bands and hook up. We're going to go underneath this single band, hook up. Make sure you're grabbing 2 bands whenever you go forward, because it is double banding. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath these 4 bands which hold the ear. We're going to grab these top 2 bands and hook it to this middle peg. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Go underneath these 4 bands, grab the bottom 2 and hook these forward, and then we're just going to go underneath the single yellow band and hook it up. So the last step is to go underneath all these. I think this one's the most important, otherwise your face just completely falls apart. Go underneath all of these bands and grab the 2 bands on the bottom. You might want to hold your loom down for this part. So you want to make sure you have those 2 bands there. So these 2 brought up to those. And then what you want to do is you want to grab these 2 bottom bands and bring them over the top. Grab this one and give it a yank. So that's nice and secure. So you can see that's knotted. And what I like to do, just in case, I like to place that over the top in case if it doesn't, so it still just stays in place. So now we're just going to take it off of the loom, and you want to be careful with this part in case the bands might snap. And you want to be careful that you don't leave any bands behind on the pegs, or your hook, you don't want your hook getting caught either, like that. See, look, this band, and then it gets all stretched, and then it gets ruined. And then you just want to fix Stampy up. So you can pull him to how big you want him to be. Then you can pull his eyes out so you can see them better. And then as for this, because this holds your whole loom, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your hook, and then you're just going to go underneath 2 bands, grab these, and pull them through so you cannot see that, as it looks a bit funny. So here's what Stampy looks like. This is the Stampy I showed in the video, and this is the Stampy here. The only difference is I made his ears a little bit bigger compared to these ones, and I think that's about it. And they look pretty much exactly the same. So this one looks more like a cat, and this one looks cuter, but this one I think looks more like Stampy Cat. So if the only difference that you could have done is you could have changed the eye color into green because you wanted to make it look more authentic, but I'm really happy with this design, and it's my own design that I thought of and I had to make up. So please, please, please don't do another tutorial on this, because if people want to know how to do the tutorial, they can just come watch this video. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. I'm planning on doing more because I really enjoy doing tutorials because they're a lot of fun to do. And I love how they're my own design and I can share it with you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this video.